All right, we're back. The New American Realist with Brian Norris here, retired first sergeant in the Army. Um, January 25th, a lot going on. I'm just want to.
You're having a day.
I'm having a really crazy day today. So I was really glad when you said, yeah, let's shoot a video today. I said, I can get out of the house. We got like construction zone happening, remodeling the kitchen, snowstorm coming in, cows getting to processor. It's on. So this is just relaxing time right now. But not relaxing topic though. What happened, man, with this?
Well, exactly what I said was going to happen last time. Just, I guess I couldn't wait to be idiots. NATO, Germany specifically, has decided to go ahead and send some Leopard tanks over, which is their premier battle tank. Depending on how you look at the specifications of it versus the Abrams, one is not necessarily better than the other, but each has their own fit, right?
Yep.
So not only is Germany going to be sending the Leopard, but the United States is going to be sending the Abrams. What's most concerning about this is that the Abrams tank is not just a typical tank that you can hop into, drive, shoot, maneuver. It's highly technical. The shoot-on-the-move capabilities, the computer systems inside of it, the global positioning system, the time on target, all of these features that's involved. You can't just teach that in a few days. So for this weapon system to have any kind of impact on the ongoing war effort as it stands right now, it's going to have to be very quickly when it gets introduced to the battlefield, which means, just like in Vietnam, they're going to have American advisors or European advisors that know what they're doing to assist. And you're putting yourself even more into a situation because Patriot is stationary, right? And because Patriot is stationary, you have a risk of...
What do you mean, Patriot? Is that the name of a different tank?
No, that's the air defense weapon system that they've already approved to send. They've had Ukrainian soldiers land at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, that's going through the training process. They're probably going to be there 6 to 9 weeks learning uber technically advanced weaponry that they're being taught to use. But regardless, we knew that there was going to be some Americans that were going to be helping them with the Patriot system. But that's a stationary weapon system. So your risk of having those soldiers engaged in combat is reduced. When you're on tanks, that's an offensive weapon. It's not a defensive weapon. So your risk of having American soldiers or NATO soldiers involved in a conflict goes up exponentially. And then what happens when you have American soldiers, German soldiers, Polish soldiers dying from Russian armament in Ukraine? Well, now you can no longer hide the fact that this is a full-fledged war.
Yeah, just like you said, this is the closest we've been in a long time to actual hot war right now again.
And it's complete imbeciles that's making these decisions because we've already figured out that everything we've sent the Ukrainians and Russians have gotten a hold of it, reverse engineered it, and gotten a pretty good method to defeat it, right? The Javelin, the Stinger, those weapons, the Bradley. Now we're going to give them Abrams, our main battle tank, the world's premier battle tank.
As we are continuing to deplete our oil reserves, yes, to bring gas down from what was it like? It was $5 here in Arkansas, right?
It got up about that high, but that honestly, that when it comes to national defense and all that stuff, that's a moot point. We will secure the fuel and the oil that's necessary to conduct operations. But that, when I talked about how the Leopard and the Abrams were very battle specific, if I was on the Ukrainian front, I would prefer the Leopard because it's a diesel engine. And you can easily resupply it. You can maintain it a lot easier. There's mechanics in Ukraine, a whole bunch of them, that are very familiar with diesel engines. The Abrams is a jet engine, and it goes through fuel every 6 to 8 hours. You got to refuel it. The logistical supply chain that has to be in place to support that weapon system is enormous. And we're going to send them an entire company, 16 tanks. It's insane. It's insanity. The Germans or the Russians are going to get a hold of it. They're going to reverse engineer it. They're going to learn its weaknesses, and they're going to learn how to target it. It's idiot.
Who do you think is winning this war so far, and why?
The war is over.
Or do you not know?
The war is already over. We're just refusing to accept the answer. We're throwing good money after bad. Russia's already won. Now we're faced with a situation or a decision that Putin's going to have to make. Is he going to stop with the eastern part of Ukraine, which most of that population wants to be Russian anyway? Is he going to stop there, or is he going to push forward and take the western part of Ukraine? Now, he has said in the past that he thinks that western Ukraine would be much more happier under Polish rule. He said that in several speeches. Mm-hmm. But the problem is I don't think that the western Ukrainians would want to be under Polish rule, and I don't think that the Polish are going to be able to manage them effectively. So you're going to end up with a pocket of Ukraine that's going to be severely adversarial towards Russia. So is Putin going to allow that to happen while he's here, or is he just going to take that all off the board? And then NATO's in a position. Are we going to allow Putin and Russia to push forward all the way to be right on the border with Poland like that?
Yeah, I don't think they will. But again, this is not my...
NATO won't survive this conflict.
This is not in my ballpark. You are way more qualified. I just see it as I mentioned the word in the last video, diversion from what's actually happening here at home in, unfortunately, divided states of America, and what's going on with economy and everything. And now when it all fails, like Gerard Celente says, they take you to war. I don't think they're stopping. It's obvious that they're putting the only bad man right now on planet, besides Trump, we know that, is Putin, right? Is anyone else? Is Trudeau bad? Is Macron bad?
Well, we know the true story behind that. And
right?
And I would also argue that many millionaires have been made in times of war also. You got to realize what are the necessities of warfare and how can you provide those, right? That's an option for you too. I mean, you can always find a line to a golden line in the shitstorm. There will be the opportunity for wealth distribution like you've never seen if this thing kicks off the way that it is. If you have access for manufacturing, if you have access to precious metals, if you have access to manufacturing weapon systems, bullets, any of that stuff. If you're a highly skilled machinist, you're going to be in a really good position to capitalize on that situation. But there are certain aspects of it that can be very concerning as well. For the first time, we're going to have a peer-peer, near-peer conflict going on in the last 80 years where the tyranny of distance is no longer applicable. And what I mean by that is we are no longer guaranteed protection that the ocean offers. In all the previous conflicts that America has been in, the American citizen has been able to sit at home in very, much safety. That is gone. The ability for foreign nations to hit the homeland are easier than ever before. And it doesn't have to be your conventional weapon. I mean, I wouldn't be so concerned about a nuclear blast, honestly. I mean, yeah, it would be devastating. The cities would be, completely destroyed wherever they hit. You're going to have some fallout and all that stuff. But in the grand scheme of things, it would be a small area. I mean, look at Chernobyl. Chernobyl was a humongous, devastating nuclear catastrophe, but it didn't ruin even all of Ukraine, even a significant part of Ukraine. However, if the highly advanced weaponry comes in and seriously affects our infrastructure, electrical grids, bridges, water, sewer, those things are very difficult to replace on grand scale. You're going to have a cascading effect of problems that's going to come from it.
I see. Do you, you mentioned the word imbeciles that are basically running the show. I think a lot of people can just agree on that. I also believe that we have combination of very smart, evil individuals with complete morons. And that's a deadly combination. I don't think all of them are incapable, incompetent of doing what they're doing. I think there is a plan here. When everything is failing right now, they are taking us to war.
It's hard to tell which side of the team they're on, which side of the fence are they on when you're looking at it. Because every decision that our leaders are making are not benefiting us.
Okay, this is an interesting point which you just said. So now let's go back real quick in history, right? We know what happened World War II, right? We go back World War I, World War II, what Germans did. It was kind of, everybody knows what happened with Hitler and all that, right? So right now, United States is on the same side with Germans. Germans are supplying Ukraine as well as United States, which is all NATO, correct? So this time, I guess it will be different, right? Germany is going to be on, I guess we can call it on the right side of things, or do we believe that Mr. Biden has a plan here that actually makes sense, which I highly doubt it. So can you unwrap that for me?
We have never won a world war without Russia. World War I and World War II, Russia was on our side. And we were fighting the Germans both times. The Kaiser, then the Nazis. We had a multiple theater conflict of World War II in which Russia played a significant part in both the Pacific operation and the Atlantic. And it's worth noting that if the Russians had not bore the brunt of most of the combat in the early days of World War II, we most likely wouldn't have won. We would not have been able to invade the mainland continent of Europe if the Nazis were not so engaged in the Eastern Front with the Russians. The Russians are more closely aligned with traditional Christian values, which I don't care what you think we are a Christian nation that was founded on Christian principles with Christian values. So right off the bat there, we have a commonality. The modern Russia of today is not communist. All of the Americans are eager to say that Germans are no longer Nazis and there's something different. Well, Russians are no longer communist. They are something different. And they haven't been communists in 30 or 40 years. They have built back something entirely different. And I would argue that they have built back something that's more free, more equitable, and more Western than what Germany is today. So
Nazis could still be Nazis. And we are supporting that. Isn't this just crazy?
I
find
I'm
this
seeing,
insane.
Like we spoke last time on all the different agencies that I intake. If you just look, there have been Ukrainian soldiers running around with a swastika on their helmets and on their vehicles, openly, freely, laughing about it.
Mainstream media did not report on any of that. Most people have no idea.
Why are they so cavalier with the swastika? Why is no one pointing that out? Everyone's all up in arms about the atrocities and demonizing Russia, but let's be honest, the Ukrainians were committing genocide in eastern Ukraine for the past decade. Russia was forced to respond.
You touched up on that on some of the videos. I suggest you guys go back and you'll see it. You'll see this setting. There is about 5, maybe 6 videos we've made, something like that. And I really suggest you, because you can really kind of segue into this if you go back, because it's very connected.
This is not a generational conflict. This is a historical conflict that goes back thousands of years. And it's not going to be solved just because NATO wants it solved. Let me tell you something. I served in NATO. NATO is worthless as tits on a board. It is not. It has no teeth to it. It is nothing other than a means for other nations to suck the United States dry. That is all they do. Other nations, soldiers within NATO, agree with me. We had candid conversations about it when I was in the Rapid Reaction Corps. It is not worth the ink or the paper that the document is printed on any longer. It has no teeth. And they don't work well together. Everybody just they called when they would see me walk in, they would point at the flag on my shoulder and they would say, here comes a credit card. That's the way they view us. They don't take us seriously. But I don't blame them, because we don't take ourselves seriously. And it wasn't until Trump came in and started demanding that NATO do certain things, guess what? They actually started taking us seriously. And they started coming to the table. We would plan these exercises, do these events and all this stuff, and they would just haphazardly be involved. They would show up for the exercise. They would start work at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and they would shut down 1,600, 1,500 in the afternoon, and that was it. They were done for the day. While your Americans were out there, and they never shut down the exercise for the duration of it. They worked 24/7. manning their posts, doing what they're supposed to be doing. Europe has gifted their population enormous wealth in terms of free healthcare, cushions for social systems. We built their infrastructure, all of that stuff, because they didn't have to fund a military.
Okay, hold on 1 second here. For those that are just listening to Brian for the first time, you retired about a year ago, right?
Yes.
And you've been in the service for over 20
years. Yeah.
Over 20 years, and you were basically everywhere. You don't have
All
to
over the
name
place.
all the places, but you've been in Europe, you've been in some parts of Asia, you've been across the globe, right?
I have
And
more time outside the United States than I have in it.
so what I'm trying to get to here, I think you guys get it, is this is coming straight from the source.
And I still
Okay.
have those contacts. I still
This
have
is
those-
not some,
I still
we
have those friends
believe this
there.
is what happened. This is the guy that has, this is boots on the ground. And by the
Western-
way, thanks for your service, man. I just
Thanks
want
for your
to
support.
say that again. Yes.
Thanks for your support. There's not a soldier that I know that across the spectrum that's not demoralized at this point in stage of the game. They're just fed up. You know, they're tired of being lied to. They're tired of not. Most of your men that join the military want to be pushed. They want to be held to a standard. They want to face adversity. They don't want it to be easy. They want to take the difficult road. The majority of them, especially the ones that go into combat arms. Well, now they come in, the first thing they're introduced to is stress cards, and it's being too rough on them. And hey, you are going to make sure that 5'9", 5'8", 120-pound Susie Q is just as good as you are. Well, the young man's like, bullshit. That's not the case. And I don't want to play this game and pretend. And I am a capable, strong young man that's able to do things. I'm just going to leave the military and go apply myself elsewhere to where I can be properly rewarded for it. Because in today's Army, you're not going to be. For too long, we have been lying to ourselves and pretending that these people could do jobs that they can't do. And it's come at such a degrade to our force that if we do get involved in a conflict with an Army that's been training seriously for 3, 4, 5 years, it's going to be devastating. The body bags that are going to come home are going to be a shock and awe compound on the American public that they're not going to be able to ignore it. And the American public's going to look around being like, well, what the hell have you been doing?
Yeah, and you broke it down again on a previous video, basically the whole wokeness thing, what's been going on
It's
in the
terrible.
military, and how, again,
But
I
it's not
hope
just
people
United States.
get
Here's
to
the thing.
watch this.
It's not just the United States. England, Canada,
Oh, yeah.
Germany, the Netherlands. Yeah, every member of NATO is responsible for a warfighting function.
And here's Putin out there talking about how he's anti all this latest transgender stuff that's going on and everything. I don't know. I mean, you got to sometimes put two and two
Well, it
together,
goes back
right?
to what team are they on? Because as a commander of a unit, if I get a soldier that identifies, hey, I'm transgender, okay, well, flag goes up, send them to the doctor. Doctor confirms it and gives you the notice, right? Once they start that process and they start taking those hormone replacement therapies, that soldier is no longer considered combat deployable. So you have a 162 roster that you're supposed to fill, and that 162 roster directly aligns with every combat function in
Freaking
your
mess.
unit, right?
It's a mess.
So when that combat roster, when that soldier is no longer combat capable, non-deployable, they stay on your 162, but they can't go downrange. So that slot is no longer going to be filled. So that means other members of the team have got to take up for it. And the reason why they can't go downrange is because they have to be close enough to that medication for the rest of their life. So why are we entertaining it? First, the surgery is grossly expensive. But then the soldier can't perform their wartime duty. They can't go downrange. So why are we entertaining this? If the job of the military is to engage, destroy, and defeat the enemies of the United States of America, no matter where they lay, what capabilities is that soldier bringing into the combat arms? Zero. They're hindering. And we're allowing it. We're allowing soldiers to come in mass scale now that have serious mental problems, that are in need of counseling all the time, and then all of a sudden, and they're not allowed to tell you. The docs aren't. And the soldiers don't have to tell you. So all of a sudden, one day, you'll get a slip. This soldier cannot wear a Kevlar. Well, if you can't wear a helmet, you're non-deployable. But you stay on my roster, you're taking up a slot that everyone else has to cover for.
Incredible. to go back, just there's a lot to unpack. What you just said, man. This is not you're not painting a good picture here.
We're in
at
a very
all.
bad position, and that's reality.
Well,
The good news is it's not too late to fix it. There's a great opportunity, and I can tell you how you can fix it real quick. Is you immediately stop all 350-1 training, which is all that bull crap, minority training, gender training, trainee training, all that stuff.
but what are the odds that that's going to stop? Honestly.
Until you get serious people in positions within the government that take their job seriously and act on them and have the backbone to withstand the liberal storm that's going to come from it, it's not going to happen.
You also said earlier, yeah, I don't think that's anytime soon. But again, I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm just being realistic here.
Exactly.
I think that we're looking at a decade at least before anything changes.
We could fix it in a couple of years if we really wanted to. The beautiful thing about, and I've seen it time and time again, Americans are kept very, very capable when you let them do it. The problem is...
Well, a lot more things, unfortunately, has to go really bad before they start fixing things.
Yeah.
That's what I see. Right now, things are still kind of, people are swiping their credit cards. They're not paying them off. Everything's great. They dropped interest rates now a little bit. So, everybody is waiting in line to buy homes, just like everybody can't wait to buy stocks when they're at the all-time highs, because you know what? They just keep going up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, everything is still kind of like camouflaged.
All of that can be gone like
Yeah. Well, I think it will. We just had a recent glitch in trading. I don't know if you heard about it yesterday. I think we're going to go like Microsoft, Walmart, Nike stock. You could not trade it. They had extreme high volume. Then all of a sudden, it was just a glitch. I was in the middle of the trade, and everything just went crazy. I believe we're going to have like this pitch black.
I've seen it a couple of times over the past 2 years.
There is going to be wealth transfer, stolen, whatever. There's going to be a lot of things that are coming down the pike here. And people, again, are just oblivious. They just keep thinking, well, magically things are going to change.
Why does the White House Chief of Staff have $5 million in gold bars?
I'm priceless, thinking nothing to say. Because
why?
They're priceless. They know.
When he took because there was a recent replacement.
Yeah,
there
they know what's coming.
So when he came into that position, he had to do a divulsion of his financial assets. Listed on that divulsion is $5 million worth of gold bars.
I don't know how many tons that would be, but that's obviously significant.
Significant.
Yes.
And if you're the government that prints the money, and you don't have that kind of faith in it.
So yeah, to paint the picture for a lot of people out there that on the economy side are not sure what's going on. So I'll just make a quick minute here on this. You look at it this way: you got unlimited access to print money backed by nothing, basically print currency, not money, because it's just used as money because people have faith, they have trust in it, right? They're just notes, debt notes, basically.
Yes.
You have unlimited access to that. They use that
we
to
have
buy
an economy
real
of debt.
Yes, based on that. They use that currency to buy real things with. They buy high-paying dividend stocks when they go down. You got people at the Fed Reserve that can just go on CNBC like a Federal Reserve Minute. They call it Fed Minute. Like, these guys come out and they just utter certain words, and all of a sudden it triggers the market. Oh, we're going to raise rates, not raise rates. They can go long, they can go short, they can do puts, they can trade calls, they can do whatever they want because they know what the market is going to do based on that, and they use that currency to buy real things with until everything implodes. How much time we got left? I don't know. But everybody, I believe, in my personal opinion, this is not investing or life advice at all. You better prepare with real things. I've been telling Brian about physical gold, silver. I gave him a coin for a present just to have the feel of an actual coin, money. And he looked at it. I thought he was impressed by looking at it.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And we're not selling gold, silver. We are not dealers. We don't care. Okay,
I've been investing in ammo. That's my real thing that I've been having.
I did too. This is like back in 2017. I
So I have thousands of rounds of ammunition because I saw the market fluctuation just on the price of a round, and I've gained.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing,
It's
and
a
I
real
can hold
thing.
it and I can use it. And at the end of the day, I'm going to get more target practice. I mean, it's like having extra canned food in my pantry. I'm not going to be upset about it.
Exactly. Tangibles. I talk about it all the time. So we're always trying to focus a little bit more on solutions than just painting this picture that obviously everybody knows a lot of things are going wrong. Yeah. But again, you haven't seen anything yet. I believe these people are not imbeciles. I think they're very smart. They took enough. They want as much as they can. And when shit hits the fan, everything will go pitch black. Everything that you see on your screen, on your fancy computer, your stocks, it will go to zero. Or you won't even be able to see it.
To get away from the aliens?
Oh, they got all that planned out.
You think it's
for sure?
You think they think there's aliens coming?
Oh, for sure. For sure. That's next. And guess what? 25, 30 million people. So you look at, I don't know, 5%, 10% of population in the United States cannot wait to hide again and do something like this. Yeah. But so I hope that everybody's taking this
if you want to take action,
seriously and take action to prepare, like yesterday.
Get involved in your local politics.
Got to.
A lot of people don't realize that if your state governor says, no, we're not doing that, what teeth does the federal government really have, honestly? And if you get five or six states that unanimously say, yeah, we're not doing that. I mean, look at our governor. Our governor said the other day, I will never do a COVID pilot mandate.
You're talking about Sarah Sanders?
I will never do a COVID mandate in the state of Arkansas. I don't care what the federal government says. I'm just going to ignore them. Fantastic. Great. What can the federal government actually do? Now, if the governor's got the backbone and says, okay, you keep your money, that's the only leverage that they really have. They're not going to send shock troops in. They're not going to be able to come door to door, house to house, and get what they want.
Well, if it has to come to that, then obviously nothing really matters. It is what it is. But you got to do something. You can't just keep ignoring.
And if enough governors say, keep your paper money.
Get involved with local politics. There is nothing we can do. DC is imploding. These people are going to be running around like rats. Mm-hmm. I can feel it. I can sense it. They are desperate. They completely turned into complete tyrants. People they're loving it. They're not afraid of, not ashamed of double standard, hypocrisy. They're laughing at everyone's face. But guess what?
It's clear.
It's clear, but America
I don't know about you, but I kind of get pissed off when people laugh in my face.
Prevail again, and this is not going to end well for them. Public servants are now being put on notice. Look what's going on with Trudeau. With Macron, this is by any means, these are no threats to anyone. This is just when you're taking people's livelihood. Yeah.
What do you expect them to do?
There is going to be a major problem here coming down, and being away from cities. I've been talking about that. I've been pounding on the table for now 4 years, and everybody that's following me in Parler knows I've been talking about that way before any of this happened. So if you get a chance, even if you got to take a major haircut when it comes to pay, at least you can offset a lot of other, maybe your mortgage is going to be $2,000 less. You're making, instead of $100,000 a year, you're making 60 or 50 working from home, but your overhead is way less. Like, there is always ways to get things done.
Always.
You just got to push through and go with that. But to wrap up the first, I'm going
to be all right.
Yeah. Got to get prepared. The first 20 minutes you talked about, I want to sum that up, okay? For those that maybe tune in a little later or they're not sure how are we tying all this together, Russia has already won.
Yeah.
I quote what Brian said. Now the question is, what happens since Germany is getting involved? Where does Russia stop? Russia has already won the war, and this is where we stop this video. And I hope there is some comments down below that people ask some questions, and you can follow Brian on Spotify, Homefront Radio. He's also on Twitter. He doesn't tweet much. He's not like
I'm getting
me.
Better.
He's getting better at it.
Better.
So this guy should have a lot more followers. Definitely, his knowledge and his persona is unmatched. And I've been around a lot, and I just hope that you guys give them a follow on Twitter. Same thing, Homefront Radio, right?
Yep. Homefront Radio 1.
Homefront Radio 1, number one.
Number
Doesn't
one.
say O-N-E, right?
Yeah, number one.
And that would be it for today. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, focus on solutions. And you can only focus on solutions if you identify the problem. So we are out, and we will be back soon.